Welcome, everybody, to the sixth NUTRI-KNOW webinar on transport today. My name is Daniel. I'm from the European Science Communication based in Germany, and I'm the communication manager of the NUTRI-KNOW project. So I have the pleasure of hosting and chairing this webinar today. That means I will take care of all your questions. I will monitor the chat. So throughout the webinar, feel free to ask any questions that you have at any moment, and I will find an appropriate time to ask it. And without further ado, I would like to give over to our first speaker and presenter, Anna, who's also the coordinator of the NUTRI-KNOW project. So Anna, feel free to take control.
Okay, hello everybody. Nice to see you there. Well, I'm Anna from Better Technological Center, and today, I will present this webinar on transport step on the nutrient management value chain. But before starting, I would like to present our community of practice. That is an online forum where you can sign up and explore the different steps of the nutrient value chain and ask questions related to the different topics or share your experiences on the ground. So feel free to sign up and explore. It's very easy to use, very user-friendly, and we will be very happy to see you there. Well, in NUTRI-KNOW, we are now organizing and performing a whole webinar series on sustainable nutrient management, focusing on the different value chain steps. These steps refer to how nutrients are managed from their origin in livestock farming, their storage in storage systems, processing technologies of these nutrients, their use for fertilizers, their transport in other areas, and finally, their application. 5 of these webinars have already been completed. Today, we present the webinar on transport step. And on Tuesday next week, we will be holding the final webinar on a storage system. And if you are interested, you can still register on the NUTRI-KNOW website or via this link. Well, and focusing now more on today's topic. As you already know, today we are going to talk about nutrient transport, and in agriculture and livestock farming, secondary products are generated, such as livestock manure, pruning waste or grass surplus, among other products. Many of these materials or products have a high nutritional value and therefore have a high potential to be a good fertilizer. But paradoxically, however, many of these byproducts are generated in a large quantities in areas rich in these nutrients. And far from being able to exploit their potential as fertilizers, they become products that can be harmful to the environment. So the conclusion is that while nutrients are essential for crop production, if they are not properly managed and applied to the land, they are also the cause of serious soil, water, and air pollution problems. And that's why it's so important to create solutions that make it easier to use these nutrients as a fertilizers on land and to transport them to other areas that lack of nutrients. So in this context, one of the objectives of NUTRI-KNOW is to explore strategies and technologies to improve the efficiency of nutrient transport, to minimize emissions and maximize nutrient use efficiency, thus promoting a more sustainable and economically viable agricultural landscape. So in Europe, we are currently facing problems with nutrient balance. Certain regions have an excess of nutrients, while other regions have a deficit. No? This issue is particularly visible in areas with high livestock density, such as Catalonia in Spain or Southern Ireland, also the region in Flanders in Belgium, or northern Italy, such as Emilia-Romagna. So as I said before, this imbalance leads to serious environmental challenges, contributing thus to this soil degradation, water pollution, and even higher greenhouse emissions. So that's the fact that managing livestock manure is a big challenge for farmers, both environmentally and economically. And in areas with too many nutrients, the pressure on the environment is very high. That's why we need to find and test and also use new technologies that can reduce this impact. So our final goal is to find solutions that really help, especially in that regions that are struggling the most with this problem. Well, but before I start with the presentations, I will briefly introduce our today's speakers. Today we have the honor to have Esther Vega from the Technological Center. She will explain the slurry concentrator as an efficient technology to improve nutrient transport from an economic and environmental point of view. In addition, we also have Esther Artigas from DARP. She is part of the public administration in Catalonia, a region located in the northeast of Spain, and she will explain how the public administration manages the logistics and regulates the transport of nutrients in Catalonia. Then Clara Fullana from CECAT, one of the most important and largest farmers' cooperatives in Catalonia, will explain how this type of organization, the cooperatives, can help to improve the transport of nutrients and which are the most used techniques in this sector. And finally, Nagore Guerra from BTTech Center will explain the operational group, biofertilisers, which is about how tailor-made fertilizers can help to improve the logistics and transport of nutrients. However, if you can learn more about all of these technologies and recommendations or innovation solutions, you can also search for our booklet in transport, and this can be accessed via this link on the slide or take a look at our NUTRI-KNOW project website. So the floor is yours, Esther, whenever you want. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Hi, hello. I am Esther from BTTech Center, and today I'm going to explain the efficiency of the slurry concentrator and the feasibility of its application in pig farms to reduce cost and improve the management of livestock manure. So as Anna has said, there is an imbalance of livestock density between regions in Europe and in areas with a lot of livestock and excess nutrients. The pressure on the environment is really high. One of these technologies can be the slurry concentrator. That this has been designed to improve the efficiency of manure management in farms. Basically, a slurry concentrator allows us to separate manure into two parts. The first one, a semi-liquid concentrated phase, which is rich in organic matter and nutrients, and the other one, a liquid phase or diluted fraction, which has a low nutrient concentration. This technology concentrates about 85–95% of the solid, 45–55% of the nitrogen, and 85–95% of the phosphorus in the raw slurry. And importantly, it reduced the total volume of manure by 20–30%. But what does this have to do with transport? Well, the concentrated fraction is perfect for transporting to areas farther away because it is smaller in volume, but still packed with nutrients. This reduces transport costs and make it more feasible to move these nutrients to areas that can actually use them without causing environmental harms. Meanwhile, the liquid part, which has fewer nutrients, can be applied to fields closer by where there is a surplus of nutrients. But how it works, this kind of technology? So, well, the slurry concentrator technology is installing a slurry pond with floats ensuring that this is positioned on the surface of this pond. And additional, the pond is required near to the slurry pond to collect the diluted slurry discharge from the concentrator. The remaining equipment is located between these two ponds with a connecting pipe directing the flow to the additional pond. The slurry concentrator can be used on any pig or cow farm that meets the minimum requirement. The main requirement, which may not always be available, but is that two separate pits are needed to store the two liquid fraction produced. So this is the most important thing. And the system has the potential to work perfectly when in the other region is not climate dependent, and also has the potential to be used on any farms where livestock manure is produced in the form of slurry, not manure. And it is a system that is not required any support infrastructure and does not require a very high energy input. So farms would already be ready to use it. The equipment used to manage the two fractions is then the same, consisting of a tractor with a pump and a slurry tanker, which significantly reduce investment cost, but also operating cost, as the time required to manage this fraction is also less than with current solutions. And in addition, it is easier to monitor the nutrients applied to the soil, as there are a device that can monitor the nutrients content of the liquid fraction online, allowing precision fertilization and avoiding the nutrient losses and emissions. Well, here we can see some numbers of the investment to make it. For example, how much the concentrator costs, the investment of this equipment, as well as the other operational costs, such as cleaning and energy costs associated to this equipment. In order to calculate annual savings, we consider the cost of transporting and treating the raw material slurry over an average farm distance of 135 kilometers. This was then compared with the cost of transporting treated slurry from source or fattering pigs, accounting for the treatment and operating cost of each type of slurry. Additionally, we considering or we taking into account in that the concentrated fraction with a lower volume but higher nitrogen content is transported to more distant farms, while the diluted fraction, do you remember with a higher volume but lower nitrogen content, is sent to nearby farms. To ensure nitrogen levels on neighboring farms match those achieved by applying raw slurry, it was calculated that 38% of the concentrated fraction from the nutrient concentration should be applied locally. So taking these considerations, these figures express the annual saving as a function of the volume of slurry from the farm. The first figure considering only slurry from breeding, so animals, and second figure considering only slurry from fattening pigs. As can be seen with the source slurry, the annual savings are greater, as from 350 cubic meters of treated slurry onwards, whereas with the fattening slurry, the benefit appears from the almost 500 cubic meters of treated slurry onwards. From this data, the volume of slurry produced has been calculated from 5 and 10 years return on investment. Therefore, the larger the livestock operation, the greater the benefit from acquired the slurry concentration. It is important to note that the calculations were done separately from each type of slurry, but the same equipment can be used for both types without any additional requirements. So finally, first, by managing the two phases of slurry separately, we cut down transport costs. This also improves how nutrients are applied to the soil, making it better for both crop growth and the environment. Next, these systems allows us the use of the same equipment for both types of slurry, plus a slurry concentrator can be shared among farmers, which reduce the investment costs for each farmers. And finally, these systems make it easier to track nutrient levels applied to the soil. This help us apply the right amount. There is a need to leading the better results and avoiding waste. Thank you very much.
Okay. So
Yeah, thank you, Esther Vega. So, sorry, Esther. Yeah, that's the turn of Esther Artigas from DART, the Public Administration of Catalonia. So, go ahead, Esther. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Hello, I'm Esther Artigas from the Catalan Department of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries and Food. And I'm going to talk about how livestock manure transport is done here in Catalonia. And we'll take a look at the systems in place to track and manage this manure transport. Okay, in Catalonia, all livestock manure transport vehicles, such as tanks, trailers, tractors, must be equipped by a GPS system, always. And the GPS system has a specific function because it records and transmits essential data about the manure that is being transported. And this GPS does more than just track these locations, because it captures all the details about the manure's characteristics. For example, its origin, its destination, and other kind of data. And this data is not only stored locally, it's also sent in real time to the Catalan department to keep track of all this data. And all this data that I'm talking about is put in the IDIRAN platform. It's a platform that we have in Catalonia that I'm going to explain more about it later. But on IDIRAN, there's a specific section that it's called GPS traceability. And there you can see all the information about the manure transport destinations that are tracked by the GPS system. And also for you to know it, this GPS and data transmission requirements also applies to other organic waste transports. For example, the vehicles that carry treated sludge from wastewater plants and organic waste from agro-industrial production, they also use the same system, and their data is also sent to the department that keeps track of it. And that's a way to keep a good traceability of all these productions. Okay, and now let's take a closer look at the GPS requirements based on who is handling the manure transport. If this manure is transported by some staff from the farm or the agricultural operation itself, the use of a GPS is not required for short distances. Specifically, as you can see here, GPS is not necessary for transport within 5 kilometers from the farm to the field where the manure will be applied. However, we have an important exception to this rule when it involves vulnerable zones. We classify the zones between vulnerable and not vulnerable. And when the manure is transported from a farm that is in a vulnerable zone, but we want to apply it to a parcel that is located in a non-vulnerable zone, the GPS tracking real-time data transmission will be required regardless of the distance. For example, if the field is 1 kilometer from the farm, we will have to use a GPS in this kind of case. And now I'm going to talk about when the manure is transported by someone who is an outsider, who works outside of the farm or the agricultural operation. In this case, the GPS tracking is always mandatory. And this also means that no matter how close the parcel is, even 0 kilometers, GPS tracking and data transmission will be also required. If you are interested in this information, you can consult the technical sheet 19 that you have the link here in the presentation. This sheet provides requirements from the decree that regulates this kind of stuff here in Catalonia. And you have the instructions on obtaining GPS codes and also conditions under which different platforms are required. And well, you can find also more exceptions than the ones that I've told you now. Finally, I'm going to talk a little bit more about IDRON. As I've said before, IDRON is Catalonia's official platform dedicated to managing the transport, traceability, and application of livestock manure and related organic fertilizers. It was a platform launched in 2022, and its purpose is to centralize and streamline administrative tasks from managing livestock manure and fertilization processes. And this platform ensures that all data that farmers keep is accessible in real time. And well, the main objective is to improve regulatory compliance and environmental practices. But it's like keeping all these stuff in one place, and in order to be easier to the farmers and also to the administration. The platform offers a model to monitor fertilizable plots, which is essential for farmers to see if their parcels are part of a nutrient management plan or are located in the vulnerable areas that I've told you about before. And this model ensures that only the allowed nitrogen levels are applied based on the regulations in the decree. And IDRON also supports annual nitrogen declarations and also assists in linking the real-time GPS data for manure transport. And talking about this GPS traceability again, we have the GPS traceability section on IDRON that can review this GPS transport data. And this includes all the information that I've told you before, and provides also a transparent view on where the livestock is applied and supports this eco-friendly practice that we think here in Catalonia that it's really interesting, especially in a region as Catalonia. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther, for your presentation and for explaining the logistics of this manure transport in the region of Catalonia. And well, Clara Fullana from FECAC, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you, Esther. Hello, everyone. My name is Clara Fullana. I'm from FECAC, the Federation of Agri-Cooperatives in Catalonia. And I will explain you the difficulties of transport that the cooperatives have and how they faced it during the OG manure management tools. So we all know how high are the transport cost for farmers, and in Catalonia, we have additional difficulties due to its geography, which difficult the connectivity between livestock farms and agriculture farms. So in the left image, we can see the vulnerable zones that Esther was talking about, and which are the zones with higher density of livestock farms. And non-colored areas are the non-vulnerable zones. And in the left image, you can see the roadmap of Catalonia. And if we watch in detail, we see that the lower number of roads between these two areas. So the cooperatives try to decrease the transport, or at least decrease its cost with during the OG manure management tools. And they perform different strategies to study how to improve the efficiency of transport. These strategies were, first of all, was the storage systems, using the storage systems to avoid transport or reduce its needs. So, for example, we have this storage system with a flexible cover to produce biogas, slurry storage in the same lands, or compost production to apply these fertilizers in the own lands of farms, reducing the transport, and always with a good management of these fertilizers to avoid any kind of pollution. Then they improved manure conditions and characteristics using slurry, using manure from poultry and using manure from slurry. So first, the manure from poultry, they mix it with cereal straw and gardening spurge to produce compost in order to improve nutrient efficiency and transport conditions. This compost was transported in big bags, as you can see in the image, but when it arrived to the destination, this volume of these big bags and this compost was reduced to the half. And this is probably, for the compactation during transport. And then, in the other hand, we have the slurry, the manure with a higher amount of humidity, which was treated in the slurry concentrator that Esther explained you before, such as because it's the same cooperative, Plana de Vic, that has the slurry concentrator and was in these OG manure management tools. So the slurry concentrator produces two fractions, the liquid fraction and solid fraction. Liquid fraction has lower amount of nutrients and it's more difficult to transport. So they use it to fertilize their own lands, which are the vulnerable lands that don't need that much amount of nutrients. And then the solid fraction was transported and applied to the other areas that need more amount of nutrient. And finally, the last strategy they used was the conductimeters installed in the trucks, and they use it as well for to know the content of soils, of nutrient in soils. So as we all know, the manure has microbial in it and it's always active, so the nutritive quality of manure can quickly change in time. That's why they use these conductimeters to always know the exact amount of nutrient in the manure. So it was allocated in the trucks, and they have a screen in the trucks to know the exact amount of nutrient during the transport. And well, despite these strategies, transport still means huge cost for cooperatives, and is still needed to find alternatives to optimize it during the transport of the maximum amount of nutrients in the shortest time and distance. So we keep on working. Thank you all.
Thank you, Clara, for your explanation and presentation, and for explaining us which are the most used techniques in the cooperative to manage the nutrients and to avoid the transport or improve this transport. Thank you. And well, lastly, we have Nagore Guerra from the Tech Center. The floor is yours. She will explain the operational review of Ferti+. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Anna. So as you say, I will present bioferti+. This is another operational group. In this case, what we wanted to do is upgrading the bovine manure, the cow manure, to obtain tailor-made fertilizers. What tailor-made fertilizers are? Those fertilizers that we put in some ingredients to upgrade this kind of matrix in order to adapt its content, its nutrient content and characteristics to be used in specific crops. So it's designed and tailored to those crops. In this case, we tried these TMFs with vineyards and apple orchards for vineyards and apple. So what we did here in different stages, first we started with upgrading or improving the composting process itself. Then we designed the TMF that we wanted to produce by identifying interesting ingredients, and then we pelletized this material. We tried in different agronomic fields, and then finally we assessed the sustainability in terms of environmental, social, and economic. And I will explain you later on, step by step, what we did. So the challenges that we faced, and it is where it fits perfectly the solution that we wanted to do, it is actually that we wanted to integrate all these byproduct or livestock manure production in the framework of circular bioeconomy. If you see here in the upper picture, we have high livestock production in the case of cattle and milking cows in the northern part of Catalonia. So this would be organic matter and nutrient generation area. So this is something that we have to manage properly, the livestock manure production. And then we have in the other part, the production of vineyards and fruit trees, more in the south of Catalonia. So it is mandatory that we are able to produce a highly organic product, which could be interesting for those crops, and to transport them to the south. And that way we fit with this demand of organic matter and nutrients. So this requires an efficient logistic. So the solution that we proposed, as I said, first we had to make some modification in the composting process, then the formulation itself of the tailor-made fertilizer, and for that we identified different ingredients that could be interesting, and then we decided to go with the biochar enriched with nitrogen, and then that allowed us to transport a highly concentrated product, organic product, and pelletized also from an intensive production area to highly demanding area, such as the south with the vineyards and the apple production. So the activities that we did within this project were the optimization of the composting process, the formulation, as I said, agronomic trials to test those TMFs, and the technical, economic, and environmental sustainability. The outcomes we found were first the overcoming some barriers that we were facing in the composting process, which were related to excess manure, which was hampering the process. The production of compost was not ideal. It was too wet, and also it led to compaction. So this was improved in terms of the quality and the form itself of the compost. Then we produced the TMF for the vineyard and apple orchard. I don't know if I showed the Yes, this is the machinery that we used to mix all the ingredients. So it's a truck with, we had this balance to know how many kilograms or tons we were putting of each ingredient, and then a mixer, and then we were recovering it and then transport it to pelletize. So then after producing those TMFs, specific for those crops, we test them in agronomic fields, and then we assess the economic, environmental, and social sustainability. So the benefits that we were expecting in the first case, it was the improvement of the transport itself, the logistic of the transport, because in that way we were able to obtain a highly concentrated product that its cost would overcome the cost or purchasing this kind of product would overcome the cost of transportation. And then also it had the benefit of, as it is pelletized, we were able to, the farmer was able to use its own machinery to apply it in their soils. Then the formulation was adapted, as I said, to those specific crops. And the pellets were able to release slowly all these nutrients, which was really a good practice in terms of sustainable farming systems. So the limitation that we found in real was, after doing all these numbers, and even though we were able to obtain a very high quality product, we wanted to transport them to the south of Catalonia, and then the cost of transportation was still too high to overcome, to be overcome with the product, the cost of the product. We can here see the TMF cost, what would be the cost in the market. In the case of the vineyard, we were obtaining a product which is with its value, it's 260 euro per ton. So this is importantly lower than the mineral. And then we had to apply more, of course. So then finally, the final result was that this was not economically viable, considering this amount of kilometers. So we would be able to overcome the transportation cost if we apply it close by, not close by, but maybe in a middle kind of less kilometers, no? In the case of apple, this is not correct. This number is not, well, in the case of apple, the cost was not, the price of the product was not as different. But still, again, the transportation cost was not, we were not able to overcome it. So this would be the final conclusion in this specific case. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Nagore, for your presentation and explanation, and also the relation of this technology with the transport step of this nutrient value chain. Well, we are reaching, no? Well, we are reaching at the end of our presentations, no? Well, if you have any questions, some of you, please feel free to ask. And again, I want to remind you that we have our community of practice active to ask questions there, maybe later on. And yeah, that's all, no, from our side. I don't know, Daniel, if you want to add something more.
Yeah, just like you said, now's the moment to open the stage for the audience. So feel free to type any questions you might have, or use the raise hand tool and ask your question verbally. I've put the link to our community of practice in the chat. Yeah, feel invited to join and engage there. You're very welcome. So Also, if you have two minutes, I have a feedback evaluation form here that that we are happy for you to fill out. It will only take 2 minutes. It's like 4 short questions. How you liked today's webinar or the webinars in general. We would appreciate your feedback on that as well. But I don't think there are any questions coming in today. So yeah, I don't think anyone is typing. So I think we can wrap up today's webinar a bit earlier, which is also nice. We have 20 extra minutes to drink coffee or whatever today. Very nice. So I would like to thank everybody for joining the webinar. Thanks to all the speakers for presenting today. Feel free to contact us at the NUTRI-KNOW project anytime if you have questions. You can find all of the contact details on the website as well. And with that, I would like to wish all of you a nice day and hopefully see you soon next week in the last webinar of this series. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.